Good evening. Welcome to the News Charter School Board of Directors meeting for March 23rd. I'm going to call the roll to establish a quorum. Nicole Booker.
Here.
Robbie Taylor.
Here.
Benji Woodard.
Here.
And Jane Jackson, I'm here. So that's 4. Having established a quorum, I hereby call the News Charter School Board of Directors meeting to order at 6:03 p.m. on March 23rd of 2021. I'm going to now read the ethics statement. This is a conflict of interest reminder per North Carolina General Statute 138A-15E. Board members are reminded that it is our duty to avoid conflicts of interest and the appearance of conflicts of interest as we handle the work of this board. Does any member of the board know of any conflict of interest or any appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before us at this meeting? If so, please state them for the record.
As we handle the work of this board.
If during the course of the meeting you become aware of an actual or apparent conflict of interest, please bring the matter to the attention of the chair. It will then be your duty to abstain from participating in discussion on the matter and from voting on the matter. The next thing on the agenda is the reading and approval of the February meeting minutes. We can read these aloud or silently, or if everyone has read them, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Booker, so moved.
Second.
Wonderful. Having received a motion and a second, are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote. Nicole?
Sorry, aye.
Robbie?
Aye.
Benji?
Aye.
And I say aye as well. The motion to approve the minutes carries. Okay, public comment. Brad, do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
No, ma'am.
Thank you very much. We do not have any guest discourse this month, so we'll be moving on. Dr. Edwards, any correspondence from our authorizer?
No, not at this time.
Wonderful. Okay. Then, Dr. Edwards, we would love to hear your superintendent's report.
All right. Before I speak on the items listed on my report, I want to just touch base very quickly about the governor's announcement this afternoon. About 2:30, there was an announcement made that could potentially impact school and our school operations. I know a lot of people are interested in where we are with that, and I want to go ahead and just address that as transparently as I can. We are not in a place to say exactly what's going to happen after today. We've got some work to do to revisit what we're doing and to make the best decision possible for our students, our families, and our staff. And so when we have that prepared to share out, we will absolutely do so as quickly and again as transparently as we can. So I just want to go ahead and say that. I know that lots of buzzing going on after this afternoon, and I wanted to just go ahead and address that. So moving on to my report. I'm so sorry.
No, I was just saying thank you for doing that. We appreciate it, and we'll all see what wonderful decision you all come to. We know that you'll have the best interest of everyone at heart and trust your decision making for sure. So thank you.
Thank you. So I want to touch on 3 things this evening. One is to just recap the lottery from last week, to share the first draft of the strategic plan, and then to give a brief overview of the financial forecast for the next 5 years. So with that being said, we did conduct our lottery last Thursday. It was fast and furious because of the storms that were coming in. We were able to get it done in 20 minutes. And we all thought that was a pretty tremendous feat, considering how much we had to get through. So excited to share that we had a total of 834 applications. And at the lottery, we had 44 open seats. Now, we know that between now and the end of the school year and then on into the summer, there will be probably more withdrawals. That's a historical trend for Noose. And so we are prepared to fill those seats as those seats become available. But I'm quite proud of the fact that we were able to make that happen with the virtual component, and then also with the incoming storms that we were able to avoid. So very excited about that. And then also, again, just really excited about the fact that we had 834 applications. Last year, there were 589. So looking at those numbers, it's certainly pretty encouraging to think about that. Moving on, Dr. Schwartzlander and Ms. Nowinski are here with me this evening, and we are going to walk through the first read of our strategic plan. It's important to note before we do this that Dr. Carpenter did review this document. He shared feedback with me that has been incorporated into this draft. So even though he's not able to join us tonight, I did want to make sure that everyone knew that he had already seen it and had provided his feedback. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen. And can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, so this is the first read of the Noose Charter School Strategic Plan. This plan will cover the academic school year beginning in August and will span through the end of the school year for 2024. Two areas to note before we get started. One is the logo. We have created a new logo at the amazing talent of Mr. Decorus Smith, our art instructor for 612. He created this out of several ideas and thoughts and conversations that we had about what we wanted this to look like and what we wanted it to encompass. And so as we move into the school year next year, at year 15 for Noose, we thought that a rebranding might be beneficial for us. And so with that being said, he was intentional about the blues that you see in that logo. All of those variations have been used by Noose Charter School in some way, shape, or form in a logo for the last 14 years. And so it was important that as we move forward that we find a way to honor that while also kind of modernizing what we're trying to do. The other important piece is the tagline that you see at the bottom, raising the bar in K-12 education. Raising the bar came from Gail Browning and the work that she's done with her Desire to Lead cohort. And when she shared that with us, we felt like that was a very simple yet powerful way to connect Noose Charter School to K-12 education. And the other interesting thing to note is that BAR is actually an acronym, and it stands for Be Accountable Right Now. And so in raising the bar in K-12 education and being accountable right now, this is how we're going to get all of these things done. The strategic plan has a table of contents, and so everyone can see what is included in this document. And it has the page numbers, just makes it very easy for people to read and access and flip to things that they want to go through. So we'll talk through all of that as we go. It was important for us to note that this work was a culmination of years and years and many, many voices and long hours of analyzing and strategizing on how to create this strategic plan. And so as we begin our 15th year, it's important for us to note that we will continue to strengthen the three pillars of our organization, which are academics, culture, and operations. And this plan is going to help us do that. It was created in collaboration with, again, a number of voices and many, many people over the course of many years. And so we are very excited to be able to bring this to fruition But this plan is essentially going to guide our school intentionally and strategically as we raise the bar in K-12 education, and we rise to the top 10% of North Carolina K-12 charter schools by 2024. The next thing to note is the mission statement. This mission statement is a culmination of several revisions by our administrative team and was guided by the mission revision tool that was created by Dr. Tom Miller. I'm going to read our old mission statement, and then I'm going to read our proposed new mission statement. The original mission statement is that News Charter School provides innovative approaches to learning by focusing on high academic standards, critical and creative thinking, character development, and multicultural experiences for grades K-12. All stakeholders work cooperatively to ensure the News Charter School community empowers every individual to achieve his or her maximum potential. In year 15, we'd like to propose the revision of that mission statement to read as follows. News Charter School educates K-12 students through a personalized approach to growth and achievement. High expectations and a focus on diverse perspectives provide students with the knowledge and skills necessary for success in a global society. Moving on, notice at the bottom of the page again, this is another variation of the logo. You notice the blue ombre that changes from dark to light. Again, all a creation by Mr. DeCoris Smith. And this page we like to call our non-negotiables. These are the things that we believe to be true, and these are our non-negotiable values for our school. At News Charter School, we believe that every child deserves to be treated with dignity and feel included, valued, and respected. We encourage fearless thinking. We embrace risks and nurture growth mindsets. We offer space to cultivate knowledge based on experience, learning, and beliefs. And we recognize that every child is unique and has different strengths and needs.
As the plan was being created, this is Dr. Swartzlander. Hi, everyone. I'm sorry. We wanted to make sure that we were very intentional when we were looking at how we wanted to define ourselves as staff members, how we wanted to define what a News Charter School student was, and how we wanted to define what being part of the News Charter School community meant. So each of those areas has a portrait that we've created. And they harken back to our non-negotiables about our students. The first you're going to see is a portrait of a News Charter School staff member. And with each of the portraits comes a graphic as well. You'll see that in just a moment. As we were developing the portrait of a News Charter School staff member, we wanted to make sure that we were balancing the expectations between academic, social, emotional, and the societal needs of our community and the vision that we have for the school. So as we were thinking about a staff member, we wanted to be sure that we were very clear in stating that student success and student learning is the collective responsibility of each one of us on campus. All of our kids are all of our kids. We want to understand that student growth and achievement has a common understanding in a foundation in a charter school community. We want our students mastering classroom learning. We want to emphasize reading and writing across the curriculum. We want our staff to never stop learning, expanding, and understanding our students and our practice. And we certainly want them to be engaged and invested and inclusive of all people on our campus. The graphic that goes along with the staff will be part of the way that we can have that in front of us each and every day we come into school. The next portrait that you're going to see is that of a News Charter School student. And I thank you for having taken the time to read through this. And I hope that you had picked out some of the ways that we were very intentional in honoring the work that did come before us, as Dr. Edwards had mentioned. As you read through the portrait of a News Charter School student, You'll see the core values mentioned. You'll see the ideas and the goals of the PLUS initiative mentioned in this portrait. You'll also see the work of the Academic Affairs Committee in this portrait of a student. And we wanted to take all of those while creating a future-focused vision for our students. There's a graphic that goes along with this as well. And this graphic is going to be scaled to age-appropriate language that all of our Cougars are going to be able to recognize and see themselves in. And finally, our community is a huge part of News Charter School. And when we were creating what we are encouraging our community members to do when they become part of the News Cougar family is to really have an intentional focus on positive and transparent communication. Teamwork and collaboration is what's really going to strengthen and move our school forward. Again, a graphic that we can share with our families who are newly enrolled so they can really get a picture and a grasp of how we will welcome them into campus and how we would like to encourage them to engage with our staff and our students.
Good evening, this is Nikki Nowinski. And as this strategic plan was developed, and as you've already heard, it was developed around the 3 pillars of academics, culture, and operations. And these pillars will be strengthened by the execution of 3 critical objectives, 5 focus strategies, and 20 action steps. We start with the 3 critical objectives, which are News Charter School will ignite student performance and eliminate needless gaps in student achievement. We will reflect the cultural attributes common to high-performing K-12 schools. And finally, the News Charter School community will embody the values defined in the News Charter School portraits that you have just seen. The following strategies and action steps continue to align with the 3 pillars and the critical objectives. The first strategy is that we will target resources to provide high caliber curricula and meaningful professional development. And we will do this by growing staff capacity through frequent and targeted professional development, implementing curricular resources with proven outcomes for students, complete vertical alignment and uniform pacing guides of core content courses, and implementing rigorous K-12 curriculum. Next, we will implement strategies to raise collective teacher efficacy by developing data-driven professional learning communities, implementing the key strategies found in Santoyo's leverage leadership, conducting mid-year and end-of-year evaluations for staff, and semester self-assessments that we do for ourselves.
And as all the strategies harken back to the 3 objectives and the pillars, so do the next 2, which do have more of a cultural support built into them. We will become intentional about consistently recognizing student and staff accomplishments by intentional recognition of our staff who exemplify the NCS portraits of a staff member. We will intentionally recognize student growth in their learning, increase student recognition of progress towards those portraits of a graduate goals, and we will have consistent public celebrations of successes via all of our social media outlets. As we continue on, we are going to exemplify the portraits of a student, parent, and staff member to positively impact the News Charter School culture. We'll do this by establishing age-appropriate language defining those behaviors located in the portraits that students are expected to exhibit. We'll expect all of our community members to behave in accordance to the NCS values. We will create a culture of diversity, inclusion, and equity where all of our community members feel valued. And we will educate the community on the importance of mastery learning over compliance behaviors.
The final focus strategy lends itself a bit more to the operations pillar, in that we will employ a comprehensive communication plan to increase campus awareness and community engagement. And we will do that through communications that will be focused on high performance skills and the portraits that you have seen. We'll continue to offer family surveys and student surveys twice a year. We have embedded into our operations calendar for the new school year and moving forward the student-led parent-teacher conferences, which will happen each semester. And then we will continue to foster positive, constructive collaboration between students, staff, and parents. I want to draw your attention to the quote from a news parent that we have added in kind of as a closing note. This came from the parent survey that was sent out in December, and it really does encompass what we are trying to do. It says, "I'm very proud of how we have been so proactive and have handled any issues that have arisen. We certainly stand out against all of the other schools locally. I'm proud to share how Noose is doing. It's been great to see everyone working together for the common goal." And that's really what this plan is going to be working towards. All of us working towards a common goal, a common mission, a common language, with the heart of our mission continuing to be our students. We did include a resources page simply because we think it's important for people who would like to know where we created all of these pieces from, and that is included in our plan intentionally. And then we have a closing page at the bottom. Again, you can see our identifying information, and then also our hashtag that we've adopted this school year that really seems to have caught on, and again, certainly does exemplify for us what we have been trying to do this year and what we will continue to do. But we know that we are indeed stronger together. I want to be sure, let me just stop this really quick. Okay, I want to be sure that I thank those of you who shared your feedback with me so that I could incorporate that into this draft this evening. I appreciate you doing that. And I also want to let you know kind of what the next steps are with this process as we see them. We intend to use this document once it is approved to help support our resource development efforts. It will be a community-facing document. Anyone who's interested in knowing what Noose Charter School is about, what we stand for, what we're interested in, what their children may receive from us can use this document to get some insight into that. And then in April, we will bring to you that revised version that will also include current staff feedback. We have not yet asked them for that. We wanted to get this in front of you first, receive your thoughts, make those revisions, incorporate current staff feedback into that for our April read, and then also share with you more of a nuts and bolts document. So you have this general document that guides everything that we do, and then we will share with you out of those 20 action steps, what that's going to look like, what you will see us doing to accomplish those. And I think it's important for you all to kind of know where we're going with that. So you see this draft, we'll get feedback and make revisions, bring the revised draft in April. And then also that will be brought to you along with the nuts and bolts document as well. And that essentially will be our how will we do this document for you all to review in April. So that is the conclusion of the strategic plan overview. So I will entertain any thoughts, comments, questions, all of the above.
Dr. Edwards, would you like this referred to as your first draft or just a draft? How would you like that?
First draft would be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think it's wonderful, and I first have to apologize for being late. I think it is fabulous. I could come up with a whole bunch of other words. So I think exactly what all of us have been looking for years. You've all had it in your heads, and now I see how everyone has contributed to the thinking, and it's a very strong, very intentional, very well-defined plan by, in my mind. So I'm very, very excited for you all. I'm proud of all the work that you have done. My only question is, what is your evaluation period? Do you have benchmarks for some of these things, and how you will do it? And then how do we know how well you have done it?
That is all going to be included in the nuts and bolts piece of it.
Okay.
So you'll be able to see, this is what we're committed to doing for the 21-22 school year. That's going to lend us to 22-23, 23-24. And then that's exactly what the intent is that you can then take that and say, okay, how well did they do this? And so we will have all of that ready for you in April.
It's a great looking document too. I think sometimes people make strategic plans so super formal that there's no way anyone wants to read it. So I think your use of formatting, it's very user friendly. It's easy to read. The pictures look great and support the text. I think you guys, I love the new NCS branding. I think you did a great job.
Well, I have to give credit where it's due. Dr. Swartzlander has put a significant amount of time into the formatting of this, and I take no credit for that. That is all her. She's done a tremendous job.
It looks really good.
Thank you.
Dr. Edwards, I just want to piggyback and answer a little bit more Dawn's question about how well piece. That's also the piece that the ad hoc committee that Benji is leading is going to be working on with some high level evaluation measures for the school overall. So those things, the strategic plan and the outcomes that the ad hoc committee is working on will dovetail together and work sort of hand in glove. So that's another way that from a high level that the board will be able to evaluate whether the implementation of the plan leads to the outcomes that we as a board will ultimately vote on again in a couple more meetings. And I won't say any more about that because I know Benji's going to talk about it, but I just wanted to bring that up.
Wait, what I mean, when are we voting on it? This would be a wonderful document to include for people who are trying to recruit, because I'm actually trying to come up, with some answers to their questions. And I feel like this would help us get some high level people if they see that this is the kind of work we have. And I just had a long conversation, and this would have been perfect if I had it for that candidate.
Tell them to watch the video, and they can see it, and they'll know where we're headed. So the plan that we laid out, I think either last month or the month before, is first pass on this month, second pass in April, voting in May to approve. And that to give time, like Dr. Edwards said, for staff to comment, for us to provide feedback. And also it's working in parallel with the ad hoc committee that will also be sort of laying things out on that same timeline. So the goal is to vote on both the strategic plan and the outcomes that will be associated with that in May.
Great.
And I didn't mean to derail us. If other people have other comments or questions or thoughts about the strategic plan, please go ahead. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say that I dearly love this. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's, to Dawn's point, I think it's gorgeous, and it's hard to say that about a strategic plan, but it truly is a beautiful thing. I love the rebranding. I love the idea of the portraits. It's succinct. It gives people a true insight into what our, not only what our expectations are, but truly what it means to be a part of the News Charter School community. And I think that that's huge. It's when you're talking about a school of choice, it's helpful to know what you're choosing. And so I really think that this is, again, as Dawn was saying, this is what is needed, what has been needed, what we've all been sort of waiting for, to truly help define what News Charter is, what it looks like, what it feels like to be a part of it. And I'm over the moon excited about the direction that we're headed. I can't thank the three of you and the whole administrative team, everyone who was a part of it. And the other thing that I really appreciate, and I think so many other community members will too, was how intentional you were about including things from the colors in the logos to ideas that have been shared over the course of the last 14 plus years, to, you know, ideas from the strategic planning committee that we had this past year at the board level. And so, you know, kudos to all of you, because you didn't try to scrap everything that had been done from the beginning, you know, and start over. What you've done is taken the best ideas that we've all had over these last, you know, 14 years and incorporated them into a plan that really shows where we're headed. And that's not an easy feat. So thank you, all of you. And please share that with the rest of the administrative team that I know had a really big hand in creating and developing this.
Absolutely. One of the exciting things too is that when we first, in talking about resource development for a moment, when we first were looking at different organizations that might help support us in that, they asked the question of, you know, what's your thing? What's Noose's thing? What do you stand for? Who are you? How can we market you to the community? And we really struggled with that. And so what's exciting is that now we have a document that does just that. And so being able to use this not only to recruit top quality candidates, to let our families know what they're choosing, but then also to really start to help us as we build that resource development program is it's pretty exciting.
And if I could interject as well, Dr. Edwards does a great job of giving credit to those around her. But I can tell you, witnessing her work on this was tremendous. The amount of time that she committed to this and then allowing us to contribute was phenomenal. It was just phenomenal. So give credit where credit's due. Dr. Edwards really did this with the help of other people as well, but you never give yourself credit. So I'm doing that for you.
Well, thank you.
I agree. You've all done great, but you know, a true leader gives credit where credit's due, and you do such a good job of that. But I also think it's really important that we all recognize the tremendous leadership that you've brought to this school in less than a year still, which is amazing. So thank you for that.
Well, if we're going to wrap this part of it up, I'm going to move into the next piece, which was included in the strategic plan request from Dr. Carpenter, and that was that he would like for us to create a, let me get to it. There we go. A planning report that shows the next 5 years. And his goal for us was that we should be aiming for a 5% surplus at the end of every year. And so in the words of Amanda Heifel, it takes a long time to turn a big ship, but by the end of the 5th year, we do just that. And so the way that we've mapped this out is that we've kept the same ADM just for easy calculation purposes. We increased our revenue for the state to 2.93% and for the EC to 3.29%. That was based on the historical increases from 2016 to 2021. We included an approximate 2.2% increase for the payroll. We held facilities and miscellaneous expenses to the same, and we're able to make this happen by the year 2027. Now, I will say that Dr. Carpenter has not provided his feedback on this yet. And so this is just the document that was created in conjunction with Acadia and with Ms. Heifel. And I'm just sharing it with you this evening. Would like to get Dr. Carpenter's take on it before we really dig into it, but I did want you to see that it existed, and that we are working on it. And the trends that I mentioned from 2016 to 2021 are here. That's how we got those numbers. But for this evening, for these purposes, I just wanted you to see it and know that it is a working document. I'm eager to get his feedback on it so that we can refine this a bit more and present it to you again in April. But I wanted you to know that we have started it. It is in its first draft, and we're going to keep working towards what he has requested for us to do, which essentially is have a yearly surplus target of 5% within our budget. And with that, those are the pieces that I needed to share in my superintendent report this evening.
Can I just ask you, the 5%, is that unrestricted, or does the 5% goes toward building maybe our 3-month like emergency surplus, and or what, or both?
It's unrestricted. So his goal is that we have 5% that is gravy. I think that was the word he used. Okay.
But what I'm saying is there no intention to try, because I know our CPA had said that he felt we fell a little short in having a dedicated kind of emergency fund of, 3 to 6 months of operation funding for operations kind of tucked away.
Right. I mean, I'm sure that we would probably use it in that way, but my understanding from him is that it's not directed towards any place. It's just a 5% surplus that we have that we can put in that savings if that's what we choose.
Okay. But maybe that's a finance committee in terms of any policy, like would you deplete your 5% every single year because you could figure out things you want to spend it on? Or is it like your goal is to only deplete, it's kind of like a foundation with their, how they, grant out their interest income. There's all these policies attached to how much you can or cannot spend. So was there any thought besides that, or just we have 5% every year?
I think that's as far as we got with him, was just 5%. I'm interested to hear what he has to say about that. I know that we've got a lot of things we could use it for. But I'd like to hear, more about that from him before we kind of dig into it with finance.
Okay.
Dr. Edwards, just to clarify that the 5%, that's an income, you had that in as a line item as income.
It should say surplus. It should say yearly surplus. Yeah.
Okay. But that's the sort of the minimum that he's asking for as well. So, long term, as you start to look at resource development and fundraising and those kinds of things, that would be in addition to this 5%, correct?
That's right.
So Dawn, some of what you're talking about could fall into that part, too, that we could potentially use resource development and fundraising and things to ensure that we don't dip into that 5%. I think that 5% is meant to, not be touched unless absolutely necessary, kind of thing. So.
Yeah, I mean but we may need policy behind that, because depending on, someone could feel like, oh my God, I have a whole bunch of money. Let's just.
Absolutely.
You never know. So
that's a good point. Any other questions about the financial report from within Dr. Edwards' superintendent report? Well, thank you very much again for all that work on both of those documents, and we'll look forward to seeing revisions of both in April. And thank you again to Nikki Nowinski and to Amanda Schwartzlander also, and all of the administrative team. Thank you. Okay, moving on, financial report. Benji.
Good evening. The Finance Committee met on March the 10th to review the February budget as well as the year-to-date budget. And we also talked about budget plans for future years. I'd like to go ahead and cover the highlights of the February and the year-to-date budget, give you some updates on those numbers. Total revenue for the month of February was $904,159.50. On our expense side for the month of February, we were at $608,938.18, which led to a surplus for the month of February of $295,221.32. Year to date, for our revenue, we are at $5,759,510.25. And our year-to-date expenses are $5,262,204.82, which gives us a year-to-date surplus of $497,305.43. So almost $500,000 at this point. During our Finance Committee meeting and in follow-up emails since then as well, we have also reviewed Dr. Edwards's proposed 2021-2022 budget, and we approve of the budget that she will be presenting to the full board tonight as well. And that is it from the Finance Committee.
So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and share one more time my screen and let you see the budget that was proposed and that Benji just referenced in the finance report. The budget for 21-22 is based on an ADM of 925 and an EC headcount of 85. Couple of things to note. Last year's budget was based on 965 and an EC headcount of 100. We feel like this is a more accurate number based on the recommendation from Dr. Carpenter, who said that we needed to budget based on 95% of our max. If every seat is filled at News Charter School, we would have 980 students. And so 932 is actually 95%, but we did not yet know that number whenever we were working on this budget with Acadia in February. So we do feel like 925 is an accurate representation of Dr. Carpenter's 95%. It's just a little bit short of that since we have 925 instead of 932. So I want to make sure I address that. Additionally, the salaries and wages line of $3.8 million does include the phase 2 compensation plan that was approved by the board a few months back. And with all of these numbers, we are able to project a $28,000 surplus with this budget. So at this time, if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
So just one thing, Dr. Edwards. So this is Robbie. Where I know we get grants also, so we've done very well with grants over the years. Where is that included? Is that included in the business revenue or what?
It is not included at all.
Okay.
Because we didn't want to count on something that we weren't sure we were going to get.
Yep.
So that would be gravy.
That'd be excess. Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to kindly ask for the board to approve the 21-22 budget as presented this evening.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2021-22 budget as presented by Dr. Edwards tonight.
Robbie, I'll second that.
After motion and second, is there any discussion? Okay, I will call the roll for the vote. Nicole?
Aye.
Dawn?
Aye.
Robbie,
Aye.
Benji,
Aye.
Paul.
Aye.
Motion carries. The budget is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Edwards. Okay, we are making great progress. We're going to move on to our standing committee reports. Our executive committee did not meet. Our finance committee report has already been shared. Academic affairs committee did not meet. Resource development, Paul, did you all meet?
No report this month.
Thank you. Board development. I know that you all have met and have a lot to share. Michelle should be joining us anytime now, but I understand she asked you to talk about it, Nicole.
Yes, she did. The main thing we need to discuss is, we've accepted applications for board member positions. We need a motion to close tonight if the board so if the board is agreeable.
So
I'll
you broke up
entertain
just a,
motions.
sorry, you broke up just a little bit, Nicole. You're entertaining a motion to close the nominations. Is that for the board?
Correct. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Okay, so we're entertaining a motion to close the nominations for new board members.
How many nominations do we have so far?
We have 3.
Benji, we have 3 to 4. I'm not certain about the 4th, but I know we have 3 applications.
Okay, so whenever we're talking about nominations, we're talking about the total number of applications that we received as a board,
That's
correct?
correct.
Okay, thank you. So I'll make a motion that we close nominations for new board applications.
Thank you, Robbie. Second?
I'll second. Did anybody second? I didn't hear.
No, that's fine. Thank you, Nicole. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, I will call the roll for the.
Wait a minute.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Dawn.
I'm clicking the wrong
I couldn't
thing.
see. I'm sorry.
So is extending it going to throw off our final our vote and installation of new officers in time?
It throw off, I don't know. It would delay it, but if the board wants to leave it open for additional applicants, we certainly can do that.
The only issue that I am aware of, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nicole and Paul, but the current bylaws require us to close nominations by the end of the month. Actually, maybe by the March board meeting. I'm not sure of the actual language.
Yep.
Okay.
But we could look at the language and see. So I would think that at the longest that we could keep them open would be the end of March. Is that correct?
I don't have the bylaws in front of me. I don't.
Without looking at
Typically,
them, without them in front of me, I believe so. And
I'm simply asking the question, so that's not an indication. I'm just.
And
I would expect more applicants. That's my only concern.
Dawn, could you repeat that? I'm so sorry. I'm having issues.
Oh, I just said I was expecting more applicants. So
Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah, we were too.
but let's see. How many, we only have one spot available, correct, or two?
2.
One spot. So, okay.
Yeah, I would have
That's it for
loved
my.
to have seen more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm pulling up the bylaws really quickly
So
just to see.
I was
Oh,
looking at the
thank you, Paul.
bylaws here, and it says that the board will close the call for nominations at the March board meeting. That's item, let's say it's section 2C3.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I knew it was sometime in March. I wasn't sure if it
And
was
we
the end of the month
select
or.
a slate of nominees no later than the April meeting. So it is a pretty well-defined timeline.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for checking on that, Paul. Any other questions or thoughts? I think, Dawn, I think we probably all agree that it would be great to have had more people apply. But my understanding is that the people who've applied are very strong candidates. So that's a very good thing. Hearing no other discussion, I'm going to go ahead and call the roll now to vote on the motion that's before us. Nicole.
I'm going to vote no.
Okay. Dawn.
Aye.
Robbie.
Aye.
Benji.
Aye.
Paul.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. The motion carries. We have closed nominations for new board members. Thank you for that, Nicole. Do you also have an update on the bylaws revision?
Just to add that if you haven't already made comments to those shared in the drive, please do so. We're probably going to meet again, take all those comments and incorporate, and then hopefully present them for a vote in April.
Great. Thank you for that. That's wonderful. So everyone knows, I think the bylaws are in the shared drive. So go ahead and take a look at those, make any comments, and we'll look forward to, I'm assuming that after you all meet and incorporate comments that you'll post the next revision back there so we can all review before the April meeting.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, wonderful. Anything else from Board Development Committee?
Nothing further.
All right, thank you so much. Strategic Planning Committee did not meet. Robbie, Facilities, did you all meet?
We actually had some conversations. So there was a list at the last board meeting, hopefully, that was attached. It was a priority list that I asked to be shared. I know it was.
Yep.
So that's still being hashed out. I talked to Josh actually this week. The team is doing a great job on campus as far as keeping things up, all the maintenance, and just staying ahead of what needs to be done. There are some priorities that need to be looked at from now through summer with major projects or bigger projects, and that's going to be shared also with the Finance Committee. So other than that, I think everything's going well. I did want to give a big shout out to our athletics. I didn't get a chance to personally do that with our volleyball team. I want to say, amazing year for that. And also now I see the soccer team, same thing, but I don't want to just limit that. I want to say amazing year for parents, students, all of the staff, and everyone who supports Noose Athletics, because I can tell you from personal experience, it's been a lot of work this year. And these kids have had to endure things that, just like with school, that they've never had to endure before. So I just want to say a big shout out to all of those that provide support for Noose Athletics.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the report. And that's a very nice sentiment about athletics. Very, very true. You know, our athletics are wonderful always, but this year particularly, the fact that we've been able to field so many teams, the fact that we've had such success from so many teams, the fact that our kids are playing sports in masks. And let me just tell you, my family lives in a state where they are like, they're doing what? You know, it's a big deal. But it's also been an amazing outlet for our students. And I'm so proud that we've been able to do that, that all of that hard work that you talked about, Robbie, you know, all of the people who've been so dedicated to make sure that our students had those opportunities. I really think it's made a huge difference for so many of our students in ways that we probably won't ever know. But anyway, I agree wholeheartedly and am so grateful, and go Cougars. So, okay, wonderful. Moving on to our ad hoc committees. Nicole, does a systematic oversight calendar committee have anything to share?
No, other than just keep referencing it. Dr. Edwards and I used it last month. I'm using it to create the agenda, and she helped me work through some things that we weren't quite ready to get to yet. And so, you know, just make sure you're using it and utilizing it every month.
Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you. I'm glad that you all are, that it's working, and that we're working out the kinks and making sure that it's, you know, the more we use it, the more we'll be sure that it's structured the way that we need it to be. It has the things in it that we need, and they're placed in the appropriate time of the year. So thank you for that.
Yes. And Jane, let me just add too, sorry. If you see the agenda and you see things that are particular to your committee or your area that are not appropriate, get back to me, because they're only on there because they are listed on that calendar. So
great point. That's good to know. So, you know, as we all should be reviewing the agenda ahead of time, please especially make note to look at any areas that are committees that you're leading or anything like that. So thank you. Dawn, the policy committee, anything to share?
Yes, thank you. And Paul did a wonderful job. I don't know if he can share his screen, or I can share my screen, but we have a chart. I've asked Dr. Edwards to review which policies she felt were school policies. And so at this time, Paul and I would like the board to consider a motion to eliminate the policies that Dr. Edwards is now identifying as school policy. We need to remove it as an official board policy. Are you following? So she carefully reviewed the list. There are a few policies that we need to have a discussion in terms of what the board feels about the policy, whether they feel it's a school policy or a board policy.
So,
so y'all able to see those?
It was just there, but then it went
now
away.
it's black.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jane.
Try again.
Thanks. So my question, just to be clear, so I love the format. When I could see it, it looked great. I'm glad that Dr. Edwards took a look at everything. And are you all suggesting that we review? Hey, Paul, can you mute? I think.
Southwest has an open seating policy, which means once you walk on board, you can grab any vacant seat.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, what I was going to say is, are you suggesting that are you planning to post this document for us to review separately, because you said there were some that we need to look at, or are you proposing
It's
voting
been up
tonight?
there for last month. We asked people to review which policies they felt were no longer board policies. And Dr. Edwards was one of the reviewers. And so she gave us her assessment of what she felt was a school policy. It's in the Google Drive. So I don't.
I'm fine with, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I don't, let me see if I can present. I'm not good with Google. I will tell you that. I'm better with Zoom.
Let's see.
There it is. Can you see it?
Yes. It's loading. There we go. Good job.
Okay. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Okay.
What I was trying to ask, I'm sorry, and I don't think I was clear in my question. So you said there were some that we needed to decide on as a board. Were you saying we were going to do that now, or you just want to? Those are separate. Okay, perfect. Okay.
So let's first go over the ones that Dr. Edwards has already identified as school level policy. Those policies we would need a motion to delete as a board policy because it's already a board policy. So volunteer policy is one she identified as a school level policy. Substitute, she identified as a school level policy. Retention of students is a school level policy. Dress code is a school level policy. Student academic accountability is a school level policy. And those were the ones based on this current list that Dr. Edwards felt was a school level policy. And so Paul listed that the responses that we can, if our working group agrees and we propose to delete, we'll report to the board and recommend action, at the April meeting, I'm sorry. Which would mean we would delete it as a board policy. And we would only start working on the ones that we believe are board level policies, like public records request, criminal records requests. And again, the comment may be that we have to, or we should revise it to reflect state law. Admissions, we don't have a determination either way, so that needs to be a discussion if anyone has any comments on that. There was a question about facilities because the board doesn't technically, own our facility. So do we need what kind of policy do we need over something that we technically do not completely control? Nepotism, that has to be a board policy, but I do know the last nepotism policy that Amanda Heifel sent out for review to the state came back with significant changes. So we need to reflect those updated changes. We've already approved the policy on policies, and then the bylaws is currently being worked on. So are there any questions in terms of what we need to do? If you have further comment on the policies that Dr. Edwards already identified as school level, we can discuss them now and do our final action at the April meeting.
This is Jane. Those policies all seems pretty clear cut to me that those should be school level policies. I don't have an issue with voting tonight if other people are in agreement, but if people on those particular policies, I know we still need to work then on the board level ones, but if we went ahead and voted on these this month, it would give you all more time to work on the board level policies, correct?
Yeah, we can just move those out and just focus on the board level policies. These are the ones that we have, Paul has identified as we already have those in some form or fashion. So we'll rework those, but there still may be other board policies that will be brand new that we are also working on the language.
So I think I've got a real quick moment here while nobody's announcing, but one of the things here that we've tried to do is to go through and categorize some of these policies based on the Davidson document. And you'll see that there's various categories that are going to refer to students, instruction, facilities, et cetera. One of the things here to think about too is the Davidson document is all inclusive of a number of policies, both board level policies as well as school level policies. And it's all in one particular kind of volume there. So as we go through this, that's something the committees will be looking at. Do we want to try to be all inclusive in that formula, that particular format, all in one place included, or do we, how do we want to limit that? But just because it's a board policy or school policy doesn't mean it's not critical to some of the process. So that's some of what we're going to have to take a look at as we start going through this. There are a number of other policies that it may be good to try to add as far as some of the procedures go too. So while something goes away as it's not a board policy, it may be further refined by the staff before we get into that new particular policy document. So.
Great. Thank you, Paul. That's really helpful. I mean, I love the idea of having everything in one place and identifying whose policy it is, but we'll look forward to hearing the recommendation of the committee as you all work further on that. Does anyone have any questions or concerns or thoughts about the school level policies that Dr. Edwards has identified and potentially deleting those as board policies? Making sure, yeah, we still have a quorum. Okay, then hearing none, I'm going to entertain a motion to remove the policies identified by Dr. Edwards from the board policies because they are should be school level policies. So I'll entertain a motion for that.
I'll make a motion that we move these policies from the board level to the school level policies.
Thank you, Robbie. Do I have a second?
Second, Benji.
Okay, wonderful. Is there any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and call the roll. Dawn.
Aye.
Robbie.
Aye.
Benji.
Aye.
And Paul.
Aye.
Wonderful. Motion carries. So thank you very much, Dawn and Paul and Dr. Edwards, for all your work. Nicole, we just voted and I wrote everything down, so I will let you know. But we went ahead and voted to remove the policies identified by Dr. Edwards as school level policies from the board policies. Okay, wonderful. Thank you again. Anything else, Dawn, from your committee?
No, my plan is to start having a full policy in the Google Drive for review. And we will start with the ones that are like nepotism, because that would be easy because the state pretty much gave us the language that they wanted us to use. But to move them in the correct format based on our policies on policies, upload them into Google Drive with the track changes. That was easy too, because the state, Amanda did that for us. And so that we can start voting on actual policies. And thanks to Paul for creating some kind of catalog. I think then we need to, Paul and I can discuss if Google Drive is going to be the place that we, catalog these and leave these. I do feel that parents, there may be some level of need to have the policies accessible to them. So I don't think they're currently on the website. Are they?
They are.
Okay.
There is a folder under board documents that has the policies in there.
Okay.
That all sounds great. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the work that you guys are doing on this. I know it was a lot even just to find some of these policies. So appreciate the work, and I'm super excited that we're really making some good progress on this. I'm starting to see what this could look like when we're finished, and that's huge given where we started. So thank you.
Well, I just got a new computer at work, and I have a network drive that I completely forgot about, and it is filled with news documents. So that might be helpful, because I think we were doing a motion catalog of motions. There's lots of minutes and other things. So I'm going to put that on an external drive. And so some of them are from way, way back. So that might be helpful.
Wonderful. I think you put it on an external drive and give it to Paul. So in fact, that's a really good segue. Thank you, Dawn, into our unfinished business. Paul, anything to add or share about the motions log?
Still working along on it, going through month by month, searching, pulling them out, and then also looking for policies too. So we've got a pretty good set of minutes that backs everything up. So it's just a matter of going through, and they're searchable. So just finding them and putting them in there, and trying to. I'm still trying to work to outsource that with my son. He owes me for a game. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that work. Benji, strategic planning update. Take it away.
Okay. No major updates from the strategic planning ad hoc committee. We've met a few times, and I feel like we're making really good progress in developing the outcome goals, school level goals in support of the full strategic plan. We have one remaining outcome goal left to discuss and come to consensus on there, and we'll be ready to present those outcome goals to the full board in April's board of directors meeting.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to seeing that and the strategic plan and how they line up. I think we're headed in a great direction where we'll really be able to say not only what we will do, but how well we will do it, as Dr. Carpenter likes to talk about. So thank you for your leadership on that, Benji.
Thank you.
Okay. We have no new business or ongoing board development and self-assessment, and we do not need a closed session tonight. Yay! So I will actually entertain a motion to adjourn. Hi, Michelle. Welcome. We're getting ready to adjourn. But I'm glad that you can join us.
Joined just in time.
Just in time.
Make that
Just
motion.
in time.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion that we adjourn.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Oh, these are great meetings. We are just, I'm so excited for you all and for the school. It's just, no wonder people are calling me, asking me about the school a lot. It's getting out there, because I'm like, oh my gosh, there's another person who's asking me something about the school. So good job, everyone.
That's great.
Thrilled.
Thank you. Yeah, it's we're rocking and rolling for sure. So, okay, we have a motion to adjourn and a second. I am going to call the roll one last time. Nicole.
Aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
Dawn.
Aye.
Robbie.
Aye.
Benji.
Aye.
And Paul.
Aye.
This News Charter School board meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you all for attending and for all your hard work, and we'll see you next month. Bye.
Bye.